Today I'm going to show you how to make a pendant necklace on a herringbone twisted spiral. So this is a 2-bead spiral, and I'm going to show you how to make a little division between the two sides to put your pendant on, and it turns out really cute. So this is a pendant that was in the treasure bag and the clasping also. And then I just used some crystals and some seed beads. You can do this design, however, you do not have to have the treasure bag. You can use any pendant that you want to use, do the same technique, and use just seed beads and crystals, or just seed beads. You don't even have to do this if you don't want to have a whole bunch of crystals. Then you can also just do this with 2 colors of seed beads, and it works out really good. So you're not excluded if you do not have the treasure bag. You can always do all these designs. There's always alternative ways to do it. I wanted to get you close to let you see what the front of the necklace looks like, and this is what it looks like. And I think it turned out really pretty. It looks really great on the neck. And let me back off one more time, and we'll go ahead and look and see what it takes to make this project. Okay, for this project today, we will be using the large bullet-shaped pendant that's in the Shiny New Year treasure bag. However, if you do not have the treasure bag, you can still do this. You can use any pendant you want, as long as it has a nice large opening in the bail so that you can get your 8-0 seed beads through it. Then anything will work. If you have a bail that opens or a pinch bail you can put on over your 8-0s, that'll work great too. So we'll be using this bail. We'll be using one of the toggles that came in the bag, and I'm going to add to the treasure bag some 2 by 3.5, or excuse me, 3 by 2.5 little rondelle crystals. You can also use a 2 by 3, either one work perfectly. And then some 8-0 seed beads. This is a Toho Jet. Now you do not have to, we'll be using a lot of these. I'll probably use 2 strands, I would think. I'm not sure yet because I haven't actually finished a design of this. I've just played with it a little bit. But you can also use just 2 colors of 8-0 seed beads. You do not have to have the crystal. I'm just kind of ramping it up a little bit, giving it a little glitz with a clear crystal. So this is a clear luster, I believe. And then I'm going to use a few 8-0 seed beads. This is a Toho nickel plate, goes really well with the bail, so I'm going to use that, and it is, like I said, an 8-0. These are 8-0 Jet Toho, and just to show you, I played with the stitch a little bit. You can do this with 2 8-0s too. So this is a jet and a nickel plate here with the little spiral we're going to do for this pendant. And then I transitioned into clear. So you can transition in and out like I've done here, or you can just do it all in 8-0 and all in 2 colors of 8-0s, or all in 8-0 and a crystal. It doesn't matter. You can transition in and out any amount that you want. I was just playing with it to see how it would work. If you don't have a ton of crystals, you don't want to use a ton of crystals, then just use your seed beads. It works just as well, and it's just as pretty. So we will also be using 2 needles. You don't necessarily have to have 2. You can switch it back and forth if you'd like, but I'm going to go ahead and start with 2 needles on 8-pound fire line because that's what I have in the smoke color. You can also use 10-pound nanofill or whatever you would like. You could probably use 6-pound fire line too. I'm just going to use 8-pound fire line in the smoke color. I have 2 size 12 beading needles. Size 10 will work fine too. I just have found that I prefer 12s lately, and so that's what I've been using. And what you will do is you will cut a piece of your fire line and then thread both sides of it. So as you can see, I have a nice long piece of fire line, and on both sides of this fire line I have put a needle on. Now I started with about 3 feet. You're going to have to extend on either side once we get going anyway, on both sides more than likely. So you don't want a huge amount that you really have to struggle with to start your project. So about 3 feet is just fine, and that will give us enough room to start everything and get it going real well. So let's go ahead and start this project. Okay, to start this project, make sure you have both ends of your thread with needles on it. And then we're going to start with our 8/0s, and I'm going to start with them in my nickel plate because I want my bail portion, or the portion that goes underneath my bail, to match my bail. So I'm going to use some of the nickel plate. I'm going to pick up 4 of these 8/0 seed beads, and then I'm going to put my needles together on both sides of my thread, and I'm going to bring them down to the middle of my thread, just like this. And then I'm just going to open my thread up. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't matter if you have the exact same amount of thread through your needles on either side, or if you're exactly centered. Just make sure you have enough thread on either side to work a stitch, and then you can always extend your fire line. So now we have these 4. I've parked one needle way over here so that it's out of my way. And now I'm going to pick up 2 8/0s onto my needle here. I'm going to pick up these 4 beads, and I'm going to go through all 4 of them, just like this. I'm going to hold on to the 4. I'm going to hold on to this side of the thread too, just so that things don't go weird on me. And I'm just going to bring these beads down to the 4 in my hand, and so that it kind of forms the beginning of a herringbone stitch on the top of it here, so that your beads will lay out, and it's going to be really loose and wobbly, so don't worry about that too much. But you want your beads to look like this. And then I'm just going to pull on my thread a little bit and try to get them straightened up. They're not going to be good for a minute here. I'm going to pick up the same needle again. I'm going to pick up 2 more beads, and I'm going to slide back through on this side now, and I'll just come out of one of these upper 2 that I put on. Now everything's going to slide around and move around. Just keep in mind where those beads are. Come through one of them, hold on to the other thread, hold on to your beads, and pull these beads down. And you can just arrange them while you're holding on to it, just like this. So you have something weird that looks like this. And don't worry about it too much, just kind of straighten it out the best you can. We're coming up through this bead right here. Now I want to cross over into this one, and then go back down into all 4 beads and come out of the bead that's laying on top in the herringbone stitch on the same side, just like this. So I'm going through all those beads and pull through. And then I'm going to go back, cross over, and go back through again. And then I will come out on the same side I went in after I crossed over, just like this. So you've got this little I shape. Looks like the letter I. We're going to kind of pull on our threads on either side, tighten everything up. Now we're going to pick up the needle on this side, and we're going to come up through one of these beads. And now you want to make sure you come up through the bead on the same side that you're coming out on the previous side. So we were working with this thread here. We're going to come up through this bead right here, because that's where we left our working thread on the other side. So just come up through, just like that. And that's what you should have. Now we're going to work a stitch to start our little spiral on one side. We're going to do probably about 6-7 stitches, and then we'll put our pendant on and start the stitches on this side. And then you can just go back and forth how you want. You can either do one complete side and then go to the other, or you can just go back and forth doing a couple stitches on either side, however you want to do it. So this is what we're going to do. I want to begin with my black 8/0 seed bead, because the one you begin with is the one that your thread is going to show the most on, and we want to hide it. We don't want it to come through our crystals that much. Now of course, if you're using 2 seed beads and they're both dark, it doesn't really matter, but the darker one is the one that you want to start with. So I'm starting with an 8/0 and a crystal. If you're using 8/0s, start with 2 8/0s, 2 different colors, and you'll get a nicer spiral. Now you're going to go into the bead next to the one you're coming out of. Just go straight into it, just like a regular herringbone stitch. Pull this down and lay the beads out so that the holes are facing out. Just the best you can. You can pull on your thread a little bit and get it arranged. Get you in here a little closer. Now we're coming out of this part of the stitch, this bead right here. We're going to cross over, go into both of these beads on this side. So we're just going to cross straight over, just like this, and pull. Then we're going to again pick up a black 8/0 and then a crystal. And we're going to go down into just one bead on this side right here. So we're going to go down into the crystal and pull. Lay those two beads out. And now we're going to cross over and go up 3 beads. So in a normal herringbone, you go straight across and go up. Because we want these beads to start to spiral, we are going to go down an extra bead. So we've come down 1 on this side, we'll go up 3 on this side. So we're going to go up all 3 of these beads right here. And we're just going to pull our thread through. Make sure your other thread doesn't get tangled in. Just kind of park it off to the side somewhere. And you can see as I pulled that, this bead is already starting to kind of curl over. And as we do this, we can kind of coax it over with our fingers a little bit too. Now we're going to pick up 1 of our black beads and then 1 of our crystals. So an 8/0 and a crystal. And then we're going to go down 1 crystal. So down on this side, if you're using 8/0s, just go down 1. Lay the beads out. And then cross over and go up 3. So we're coming out right here. We're going to cross over and go up these 3 beads. So sometimes when you very first start, this is a little tricky. And for me, my left hand doesn't function well, so it's a little bit harder. You won't fumble quite as much as I do. So if I'm making it look hard, it'll be easier for you. Now you can see that this thread drapes over, and that's what pulls the beads around into a spiral. And you can see it just a little bit over that black bead, so that's why I wanted to use this darker thread. So we're going to pull that, and then we're going to pick up a black 8/0 and a crystal. Go down 1 crystal, pull through, bring it down, and then go up. Let's see if I can hold this. Up 3 on this side. Just like that. We'll get you a little closer just for a few minutes here. And we're going to pull this down. And we're going to pull it tight. You have to have good tension on this. And then you can kind of squish it around like this a little bit so that it starts to spiral a little bit better. The offset of the thread is what pulls the beads around into a spiral. Now we're going to pick up a black 8/0 and a crystal. We're going to go into the crystal, just down 1 bead. Whether it's a crystal or an 8/0, doesn't matter. Down 1 on this side. Lay them out. And then up 3 on this side. Right there. And then I'm going to pull my thread. And see how that's starting to twist nice for me? Now I can kind of hold it up like this so I can work on it a little bit better. Pick up a black one and a crystal and go down just 1 bead. Lay them out, straighten them out, and then go up 3 beads on this side. Pull your thread tight, kind of coax it around. And let's do just a couple more, and then we're going to put our pendant on and start the other side. So pick up 2 beads, go down 1, on this side, and then cross over and go up 3. Pull tight. And again, pick up a black one and a crystal, or whatever combo you're using. This will work in lots of colors. And then we're going to pull these down, straighten them out, cross over and go up 3. Pull tight, and you can see my spiral starting. It's just a long, like, gentle spiral. And that's what I want for this. Now, I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units here. And that's probably enough so that we can start the other side. So what we're going to do now is pick up your other needle and go through your pendant. Make sure you don't go through the filigree part. Just go through the bail. And then we're just going to pull it through with these 8 O's. Just pull it through like this. And just kind of slide it over. Now I'm going to leave it laying down. I'm going to turn it this way so it's more accessible to my right hand. But I'm going to leave it laying down for the most part because it's going to be difficult with the pendant on to hold it too much. Or perhaps it'll actually work okay. We'll see. See how we need to do this. Now, we're coming out of the same side we did on the other side. So we want to start with our black beads first. Let me back up just a little bit. I'm going to pick up my black 8-0 and then my crystal. I'm going to go down into the bead on the opposite side from which I'm coming out. So I'm coming out here. I'm going to go down into this one. I'm going to just put my thumb over it so I can just hold everything into place. I'm going to move this thread way over here, park it out of my way. And then pull these down on top, just like that. Get you in closer, just like this. And then we're coming out of this bead now. We're going to go cross straight over and go up into this side, 2 beads on this side. Pull. Make sure you get nice tension there, and then pick up your black bead again. And then your crystal. Come here, crystal. And then over here we're going to go down 1 bead and up 3. So now we're going to go down 1 here, pull it. We're going to cross over and go up all 3 of these beads on this side. Now your pendant will just lay on those 4 that we have in between our little eye shape we made. The pendant will lay and move on that, and we'll just work our spiral on either side like this now. So now I'll pick up another black one and a crystal, and I will go it down 1. So it is working out better for me to hold this in my hand. So however you want to do it, however it works for you. So I'm just using my thumb to guide my thread and my beads down. I'll straighten them out, and then on this side I will go up 3. So always down 1 when you're after you've picked up your 2 beads, and then up 3 on the opposite side. Pick up 2 beads, go down 1 here, and then up 3, like this. Pull. Make sure you pull that tight, and you can start coaxing it around a little bit, but make sure you pull that tight because that's what's going to start our spiral, and we want our spiral to be pretty much the same on both sides so that it's symmetrical for us. So we're going to continue. Pick up a black one and a crystal. Go down 1 bead. Pull. Oops, I dropped him. And then I'm going to go up 3 beads on this side. Should have laid that out a little bit better. Okay, let me lay that out. Come here. Okay, now I can go up 3. And each time pull again and reestablish your little spiral, because as you're doing this, you kind of manhandle it a little. Oh, I guess I shouldn't say that. That's not nice. You kind of mangle it a little bit, and it'll kind of get out of shape. So just straighten it up each time. You can coax it around just a little bit each time. Make sure it pretty much stays the same as the other side, and then just continue. You can do 8 on this side, then 8 more on this side. You can do one whole side and then come back and do the other whole side, however you want. I'm going to continue making my spirals exactly the same way. I'm going to do probably one full side and then come back and do the other. And then I will show you how long I make it. We can also always attach a chain to the back or something if we need to. But I'm going to go ahead and make the length that I think that I would like. I'll come back and show you exactly what I've made, and then we can clasp and be done. Okay, so I've gone as far as I can go with my thread here. I have reserved a few inches, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to extend this, because you're going to need to do that on both sides. So I'm just going to take the thread that's on my piece, and I am going to put my new piece underneath it, and then I'm going to take the piece on the piece on the piece, and put it underneath the new one, and then I'm going to cross them and put one through the loop that I created when I crossed it. It's just a square knot. And then I'm going to bring this down as close as I can to my piece of work, so I don't have to pull my knot through a whole bunch of times before it's hidden in my piece. So I'm just tightening the two ends until I get a slip knot like this. Don't make it incredibly tight, but make it fairly tight so that it actually slides through properly. So this is what this looks like. Now I'm just going to take my scissors and cut down the two ends, because if I pull it through now, I'm going to have a knot way down my thread. So I'm just going to cut these down, and then I'm going to take my lighter, or you can use a thread burner. Thread burner works great because it makes smaller little blobs, and we're going to burn little blobs on either end. So we're going to take our lighter and just very lightly get it close in the bottom of the flame. Make sure you have enough of a blob to where it's going to actually stop when you pull it through, but it's not going to pull apart when you pull this. So now I've got this end, and I just pull gently until those two blobs meet. And now I have extended my fire line, and I have a small extension. I can put my needle on and continue with my project. Okay, so as you can see, I've done one complete side of my necklace. Now, counting these stitches, because they're so small and there's so many of them, is a difficult thing. So what I've done is I've measured from the very center where I put my pendant on to the end here, and it's right at 9.5 inches. So I'm basically going to have about a 20-inch necklace by the time I clasp and finish this off. So when we do the other side, we can just bend it over and compare so that you have basically the same size on both sides, so you don't have to count your stitches that way. So this is what I've done. Now that I've finished the length that I want, I'm going to clasp off this end and show you what I'm going to do. I've decided to add into the mix a small wire guardian. This is about 4 millimeters high and about 4 millimeters wide. And then I am going to also use a couple of, probably 4 of my 8/0 seed beads in the nickel, just to end it off here. So I'm going to get you closer, and I'm going to do a couple regular stitches of herringbone instead of doing the twisted stitch here. So I'm going to pick up 2 of my 8/0 seed beads, and I'm just going to go down 1 crystal, just like we have been doing, just like this. Let's get you just a little closer, and bring this down and lay it out like this. Now, instead of crossing over and going up 3, I'm going to just cross over and go up 2. So I'm going directly across from where I'm coming out of this bead. I'm going into the one right next to it, and just a regular herringbone stitch, just like that. And now I'm going to pick up 2 more of my seed beads, and I'm going to go down 1 on this side, cross directly over, and then go up 2 on this side. So straight across. If I can do it, because there we go. Now I'm going to pick up my wire guardian. I may want to use 11 O's, I'm not sure. Maybe not. I should be able to just put this right on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my wire guardian and I'm going to go up one side of it like this with my needle. And then reposition here so I'm in a better position, like this. And then I'm just going to bring it down. Then I'm going to go through the other side and the 8/0 underneath it. I'm going to put my thumb and finger together so I can feel my thread. As I guide it down, it'll go into the divot on top of the wire guardian, just like that, and I can establish my tension and everything from there. And then I'm going to cross over, straight across, and go back into this 8/0 on this side and the wire guardian. Then I'm going to go back down into the wire guardian and down both of these beads on this side. Hold on to it. Cross over, go up both on this side. Go into my wire guardian. And again, down this side, both beads. Right here. Now, I'm going to get this thread bridge right between these 2 beads here. You get in a little closer. Might be better if I turn it over. Nope, there's a little thread bridge right between these beads, and I'm going to grab it. So just kind of bend that back. Get your thread bridge right there. Push your needle through. Make a loop, go through the loop, and tie that down. Then sew up through your wire guardian one more time and do that one more time just to make sure you're nice and tied off here. So I'm going to go up through my wire guardian, down both of these beads on this side, hold on to my wire guardian so I can feel my thread go into it, and then again bend that down a little bit, grab underneath that thread bridge. Maybe if I go this way. So go up from the bottom. It's a little easier. Tie a knot. And then I'm just going to go over into some of my black beads here and just go down a few. Just like that. And then I'm going to cut my thread off and burn it in. So just like that, I've left a little tag there. I'm going to get my lighter just close to it and melt it down. If there's a lot of thread running through here, you don't want to burn it. So just get it close and let it just melt into your beadwork like that. And now you have an end that's prepared. You can put on a jump ring, you can put on a lobster claw, and then a jump ring on the other side, or you can put on a jump ring and your toggle. However you want to do it. I may use a lobster claw and just a jump ring on this, simply because it's small and toggle's kind of big, but it doesn't matter. However you do it, that actually doesn't look too bad with the toggle either, like that. So we'll do that towards the end. I've only done half of my necklace here, so I need to do the other half before I worry too much about clasping it. But this end is finished and it's ready for me to do whatever I'm going to do. Now I'm just going to pick up this side and start doing the same thing. So if your little swivel down here turns, just turn it back to where, so you can turn the little eye shape we made, turn it back to where your crystals are on the top, towards the top of the pendant, and then just start making your spiral on this side, and go ahead and make it until you have the same amount you have on this side. Put your wire guardian on just like I showed you, and we'll be back. Okay, so now as you can see, I have done both sides of my necklace, and I have put them side by side, making sure my pendant was in the very middle of this little extension we made. So there's 4 beads, so I'm just putting it centered on the 2 in the center, and then I can see just how long my ropes are and match them. So that's what I did when I was doing my stitch. I just matched them as closely as I could, and then I ended it the same way I did the first side that I showed you on camera. So after you finish your second one, you can always go back and watch how to put your wire guardian on the first one and then do it on the second one. Now, I've got a couple of jump rings and my toggle here. Now, you could put on a lobster claw. This is a tiny little rope, so it may look better with the lobster claw. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to try the jump rings that came in the bag. Now, they're 6mm round. If you would like to, you can use a smaller one, like a 4mm round. But I'm going to try and see how these look. So I'm just opening this a little bit wider, and I'm going to slide it on the end of my wire guardian, and then I'm going to slide my clasp on and close it. Get you a little closer so you can see it. And this is what that looks like. It's not too bad. It doesn't look too bad. And then I'm going to grab this one and open it just a little bit more. Pop it on here and close it. Okay, so now all I've done is put those on. I don't know if I was in camera, but I just put my jump rings on, put my toggle ends on, and that's what your ending looks like. And that looks really nice. It's a real nice looking ending. And then let's look at the necklace itself. Now, I was fretting and obsessing over the fact that each side should be exactly symmetrical and the spiral should be exactly the same, and that's just not going to happen. I learned the hard way. That's just not going to happen. So it doesn't matter which way it spirals or anything in the front. I wanted to make sure that both sides were exactly the same, and like I said, that's not going to happen. So it looks good regardless. And what I do when I finish is I'm just going to take one, find which direction the spiral is going, and just kind of spiral it with my hand like this a little bit, and then let it loosen back up, just to get it the way that it will lay nicely. Because as you're working with it and messing with it, you kind of get your spiral out of its spiraling groove. It's kind of weird here and there. So if you turn each end a little bit and then just let it loosen back up, you'll get a nice, smooth, loose spiral like it should be. And now let me lay this out and show you what the front of it's going to look like. Because, like I said before, it's not going to be exactly the same on either side. It's just not. So what I'm talking about is right now I have it to where the crystals are on the bottom and the black's on the top, but you can see my spiral is a little tighter here and a little looser here, and it's just going to be like that. You're just not going to get it to do otherwise, so I wouldn't worry about it too much, but it still looks really pretty regardless. Let me move it around so it's not just positioned perfectly, and you can see now this one's a little bit different than the other. It doesn't matter. It still looks really pretty. So don't obsess over it like I did, trying to get your spiral exactly perfect on either side. The spiral is not a perfect spiral, and even as you try to be really consistent, there's still inconsistencies in the way that it spirals. It's just the way it is. So this is what this looks like. Let me get you in and let you see it. Arrange it really nice. Yeah, I don't know how to arrange it nice. We're just gonna do that and back off, get you so you can see it. So that's basically what that looks like. And I think it's pretty cute. So I'm going to go measure it and let you know exactly how long it is. And here's the finished piece. Now I measured it and it was exactly 20.5 inches. So you can make yours any length you want. You just make more or less of your twisted herringbone and can adjust it to any length you want. At this length, the pendant hangs really nicely right in the middle of my chest. It looks really good, and I like the way that it turned out, and it looks really, really good on the neck. So that's what this project looks like and measures, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll try it. Bye-bye.